Raghu says, Sergi. So I thought that was Siraj. England defeats have been horrible this series. The Bazball works on flat T20 pitches. You can't same game on tough pitches. England pitches have been flat for the past 3 or 4 years. All right, so much to unpack here. Okay, England defeats have been horrible this series. Well, defeats are usually horrible. Okay, so I don't really know what that means. Bazball works on flat or T20 pitches. These pitches have been pretty flat. Really, haven't they? I mean, compared to Indian pitches of the past, I would say that the first pitch had a little bit in it, and that's when England won. And the last pitch was the one when it was keeping low and there were cracks all over the wicket. And that was probably the second best pitch that they played on. So that kind of defeats what you've said. I do think it is a theory for flat pitches in general. And the reason I say that is it allows their batters to be their batters, but also they're better at manufacturing wickets than other teams. So it actually does work in that favor. But this is where I think everyone goes wrong. And I don't know how long you've been following this team for, Ray. They were fucking terrible before Bazball, mate. You're talking about pitches being flat for 3 or 4 years. Go and have a look at the England batting averages before Bazball. They were in the minus. Have people forgotten how shit they were? I feel like when I get comments like this, I'm living in a parallel universe where England used to be good. Then they got Bazball and we all overhyped them. No, they used to be terrible and they lost, 12 of 13 test matches. 12 out of 13, wasn't it? Right? Then they tried a new theory to try and maximize their talent, knowing that they were a flawed team. They've been really honest with this. They're being far more honest in this with people who slag them off or people who hype them. They've been saying, we're doing this partly because we know. Zach Crawley, they know he's not going to average 45 in Test cricket, right? So they're trying to get the most out of Zach Crawley. And do you know what they've done? They've got the most out of Zach Crawley. We're now nitpicking because they could get more. And maybe they can. And hopefully they can, right? But they have played way better. If they had come when they lost that 12 out of 13 test matches, if they had continued to go the way they were, especially the way they played in the West Indies was about as shit as I've ever seen England play, right? If they had come to India like that, right, it wouldn't have just been 5-0. It would have been the kind of 5-0 that at lunch on day one, we all would have been like, oh my God, we've got to watch 5 more tests like this, right? And the whole thing about England flat pitches for the past 3 or 4 years, if the pitches were flat beforehand, they weren't making any runs on them, right? They have revolutionized the way they have played. There are limits to what they do. There are issues. You can go back and see the fucking 20 videos I've probably done on it already, or the articles that I've done on it, right? But let's not sit here and bullshit ourselves. They fucking stole a test match that they had no right of being in because of the way they played. Right? They put themselves in a situation to be able to win a test match again in the 4th test, again, because of the way they played. What are we even talking about here? This is a flawed team. Everyone knew that coming in, right? Even England. In fact, I've talked about this before privately. England thought they were going to come and get absolutely thumped in every test, right? Not Stokes and McCullum because they're positive dudes, but a lot of the other players are like, this is going to be dreadful. We're going to be embarrassed, right? They haven't been embarrassed. They've been in games. They're playing a team that is way better than them in their home conditions. And they don't have their best spinner for Asia. As a general rule, try and take your best spinner to Asia. Or keep him there, in Jack Leach's case.